Good evening, everybody. This is the regular meeting of the Mayor and Council for Monday, April 3rd, 2017. Can I please ask everyone to rise for a moment of silent prayer? And this evening I'm asking everybody to remember 3 people who have passed with affiliations with the Borough of River Edge: Bob Mancuso, former court officer; Mary Kirk, mother of former Mayor James Kirk; and Bob Algin, who is the father of Lisa Algin, father-in-law to former Mayor Sandy Mastromontolo. So please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Councilmember Steve, please lead us in salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in Borough Hall, by email to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to the same as provided by law of the schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. I'd like to remind all members of the public that we have 3 fire exits in our council chambers, 1 on each side of the dais and 1 in the rear. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Present.
Councilman Garlotti?
Here.
Councilman Steve? Here. Councilman Canino?
Present.
Councilwoman Davis is out of prior notice. Councilman Castaneda?
Here.
And Mayor Mignon.
Here. Start with the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Mayor and Council meeting of March 6, 2017, and the work session meeting of March 20, 2017?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Proclamations award, we have 3 on for this evening. I'm seeing library folks. I'll start with the library. Dara, would you, members of the Board of Trustees, like to just come up and accept this award, the proclamation? This is in recognition of National Library Week, and I will read the proclamation into the record. It states, whereas our nation's school, academic, public, and special libraries make a difference in the lives of millions of Americans today more than ever, and whereas librarians are trained professionals, helping people of all ages and backgrounds find and interpret the information they need to live, learn, and work in a challenging economy, and whereas libraries are a part of the American dream, places for opportunity, education, self-help, and lifelong learning, and whereas library use is up nationwide among all types of library users, continuing a decades-long trend, and whereas libraries play a vital role in supporting the quality of life in their communities, and whereas libraries can help you discover a world of knowledge, both in person and online, as well as personal service and assistance in finding what you need when you need it. And whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week with the theme, Libraries Transform. Now therefore be it resolved that I, as the Mayor of Borough River Edge, hereby proclaim April 9 to 15, 2017 as National Library Week. I encourage all residents to visit the library this week to take advantage of the wonderful library resources available, and thank their librarians and library workers for making information accessible to all who walk through the library's doors. Worlds connect at your library.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Here we have members of our Board of Trustees and obviously our director.
I can just say quickly, couldn't agree more with all of that. Libraries do transform, they make communities stronger. And River Edge is a thriving community, and we're right at the heart of it. Free access to all the information. And I'm very, very happy to announce that this Wednesday we'll be extending our hours of operation for the first time in several years. We're now back to 58 hours a week. We'll be up to 9 o'clock on Wednesday evenings. So we're very, very, very happy, all of us, right, to be able to do this year, and we hope to continue doing it for many years to come. And in fact, the very first, one of the reasons this is important is because access to the meeting rooms is important to the community. More and more people are using the library as a place to meet. This Wednesday evening, 1 week ago, I booked the room for a dance group. They're practicing for the Starcase talent show. So already the Wednesday evenings are getting booked up in the meeting rooms, and that's just one aspect of the service that we provide. So looking forward to 2017. Thank you so very much for taking the time to do this.
It's our pleasure, Darrell. Thank you for all the good work you do, and all the trustees, you know, the time and effort you put in, and it's certainly appreciated. So, Madam President, you want to take it?
Yeah.
Very good.
I'll put it in file.
Very good. Congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have a proclamation for National Autism Awareness Month. Ms. Paulson. Okay, very good. Proclamation reads, whereas autism is a pervasive development disorder affecting the social, learning, and behavioral skills of those affected by it. And whereas as more health professionals become proficient in diagnosing autism, more children are being diagnosed on the autistic spectrum. And whereas there is no cure for autism, it is well documented that if an individual with autism receives treatment early in their lives, it often is possible for those individuals to lead significantly improved lives. And whereas individuals with autism often require a lifetime of specialized community support services to ensure their health and safety and to support families' resilience, they manage the psychological and financial burdens autism presents. And whereas Autism New Jersey is spearheading an awareness effort in order to educate parents, professionals, and the general public about autism and its effects. Now therefore, I, as Mayor of the Borough of River Edge, do hereby proclaim April 2017 as National Autism Awareness Month in the Borough of River Edge, and urge all employees and residents to participate in our Autism Awareness Month activities in order to become better educated on the subject of autistic spectrum disorders. Thank you so much for coming. We have one other proclamation that usually Mrs. Christensen has come religiously. I guess this year she wasn't able to make it. She's been a big supporter, a big proponent for Donate Life Month. So I'm going to read this proclamation into the record. Whereas those who dedicate their time, effort, and skills to help others are among the most valued members of any community. And whereas there's a great shortage of organ and tissue donors, and thousands of people on the organ transplant waiting list will not live to receive one. And whereas each day 3 people die while on the waiting list, and in New Jersey over 5,000 residents are waiting for organs or tissue. And whereas the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission is cooperating with the New Jersey Sharing Network so that you need only to designate on your driver's license that you want to be a donor, and that information will also go into the NJSN computers. And whereas if you're not a driver, you may designate your wish to be a donor on your legal ID card. Whereas the New Jersey Sharing Network has a new information brochure which contains a temporary donor card to be filled out and kept in your wallet until you have the opportunity to register this information on your driver's license or ID card. Whereas the science of matching and performing organ transplant surgery has become more advanced, and whereas last year over 613 transplants were performed in New Jersey and over 189,000 were performed nationally. And whereas it is possible for one donor to save up to 8 lives and enhance the lives of up to 50 others through tissue donation. Now therefore, I, as the Mayor of the Borough of River Edge, do hereby proclaim April 2017 as Donate Life Month. And we encourage everybody to become donors if you're not one already. And we usually have the benefit of having Ms. Christian here tonight, but we don't. But she's obviously here with us, and we'll give this to her. And if she wants to come in another time and talk to us about it, she's more than welcome. So thank you to her. And if you want to leave, you can go. If you want to stay, you can stay. It's fine. And let's just go through one of the personnel changes before we get to our public hearings. I have a motion to approve the salary increase of Jason Melito, 4-person in the Department of Public Works, from the annual Step 2 salary $80,639.16 to Step 3 $84,829.32, effective for April 1, 2017.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Can I have a motion, please, to approve the salary increase of Eric Schultz, equipment operator in the Department of Public Works, from an annual Step 2 salary of $63,178 to Step 3 $64,351, effective April 6, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And just for the record, there's a list of correspondences in the email and in the agenda, which are available to the borough clerks. Anybody would like to read them? And we also have on file monthly reports. The Beautification Committee for March 2017, Historic Commission, February 2017, Library Board, March 2017, Recreation Commission, Director's Annual Report for 2016, Recreation Commission Report for January and February 2017, Shade Tree Commission for February 2017, and the Tax Collector Report for February 2017. First order of public business, we open the public first for agenda items? No. Do it now?
Yeah.
First, have a motion open to the public for comments on issues on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any member from the public wish to ask a question regarding any specific agenda item? There will be a chance for general comment at the end of the meeting, plus we also have several public hearings where you have an opportunity to speak on those specific items. Yes, sir. Excuse me, please. Did you want to say something? Oh, I didn't realize you were here. Did you want to make a comment on autism or no? Okay. Just want to acknowledge that our public health nurse was here. Sorry. No, it's important. Name and address for the record, please, and speak to the microphone so we can get you recorded.
Jamal Maddox, address is 191 Zabriskie Place, Cedar Ridge, New Jersey. I have hard copies of what I'll be essentially reading into the record. I'm not sure if you have a copy in front of you. If you do, I have 7 copies here. Yes, sir. Okay, let's go. Maybe.
Sure.
We still have a couple of minutes.
Yeah, you took the time, why not?
Dear Mayor and Council, thank you for granting me time to comment. I consider you all to be neighbors. I'm not here to be critical. I'm here to offer my unique perspective as a resident. As a resident, I follow the activities of local government, and I hope to keep my neighbors informed about them. However, when I tried to obtain information regarding the proposed 2017 municipal budget, I encountered some challenges, and I'm here today to share these challenges and to draw attention to the potential for improvement in this process. I appreciate the opportunity to offer comment on the proposed 2017 municipal budget. However, for a resident to offer an informed and meaningful comment, the resident first requires a reasonable level of understanding concerning the information set forth in the proposed budget. For a resident to gain this reasonable level of understanding, the resident first requires sufficient opportunities to ask questions and to get answers from the residents' elected officials, meaning mayor and council, either individually or collectively. I do not believe the residents of River Edge, and certainly myself, have been able to gain this reasonable level of understanding of the proposed budget because the residents of River Edge, and certainly myself, haven't been provided with sufficient opportunities, if any at all, to engage in question and answer with the mayor and council, either individually or collectively, before the day that this proposed budget is set to be voted upon, which I understand to be today. And therefore, residents such as myself are unable to offer an informed or meaningful comment on this proposed budget that is positioned to raise our taxes, which underlines the legitimacy of this public hearing, in my opinion. Mayor and council, I'm only aware of 4 ways that mayor and council members have attempted to make information available to River Edge residents regarding this budget, so that residents could offer informed and meaningful comments at this hearing. For one, the proposed budget was posted online. Secondly, mayor and council's contact information is available online. Thirdly, we have a citizens budget committee. And finally, mayor and council may argue that the purpose of this hearing is to take questions and to provide answers to residents. However, in my opinion, all of the above have either failed or fallen insufficient. Yes, the proposed budget was posted on the borough's website. However, the document contains technical information that obstructs a resident's ability to interpret it without an opportunity for question and answer with mayor and council members. Also, seeing where there is increased spending within this budget upon reading it doesn't inform a resident such as myself about why there's increased spending or the consequences of not spending. Simply being able to read the proposed budget online doesn't position a resident to come here and offer a meaningful commentary about any particular line item on the budget. Yes, Mayor and Council's contact information is posted online. For me to gain a reasonable level of understanding in regards to this proposed budget, I use the quote-unquote contact all Mayor and Council link on the website to engage in this question and answer with all of you concerning this proposed budget. After I did so, I didn't receive a response. So I tried again a week later and by individually contacting each of you, and I still haven't received a response from anyone through this particular means. I also didn't receive a confirmation of receipt. I don't have a pre-existing relationship with anyone on Mayor and Council, and I have no prior history of requesting anything from anyone on Mayor and Council. Therefore, I have no reason to believe that this lack of responsiveness to my request was personal, or that any other resident in River Edge would have fared any better. Councilman Bartoloni made himself available by phone for question and answer regarding this budget, when myself and others publicly voiced our concerns about this tax increase via social media in the River Edge community group. I believe my questions were reasonable. Specifically, I asked, 1, was there a path to avoid this tax increase? 2, if there was a path, what obstructed it? 3, if there wasn't a path, please explain why this increase was necessary. 4, did anything else guide your support for this increase? And 5, do I have your permission to share this information with others? I'm not sure, I don't want to speak for the councilman, but I think he may have found the questions to be reasonable given he answered all of them. He also gave me permission to share his answers with others in this particular group that I mentioned. Weeks later, when I publicly voiced concern about Mayor and Council's lack of responsiveness to the questions that I posted to the Contact All Mayor and Council link on the website, another Mayor and Council member replied to the same set of questions, and I'll read his response. The Mayor and Council take the budget process very seriously. There is no simple or short way for me to respond to the questions you pose. They are complex, and the answers are intricate, and I have debated and discussed, and have been debated and discussed by Mayor and Council and Citizens Budget Committee for many months. And for months before, I was part of this council. Nevertheless, I do not mean to put you or your questions off. So I'd like to suggest that you come tomorrow night, meeting tonight, at 7 and attend the regularly scheduled council meeting, which is held at Borough Hall. The address is noted. There you will be given an opportunity to ask all of these questions to the whole governing body and to address any issues you may have with the budget or with the municipality in general. I urge you to come and ask your questions and to voice any objections you may have to the process and the outcome. Now, this email was not a response to my questions, which the council member notes in the email itself. I'm also sensitive to the fact that this council member indicates that he joined the process of the budget while it was already underway. Nonetheless, I believe this council member still plans to vote upon this budget, even though they indicate they joined it halfway through, and the extent to which that may impact that person's ability to respond to my questions. Collectively, 1 of 7 Mayor and Council members responded to a resident's questions about this budget, which the resident, meaning me, posed to prepare himself to offer a meaningful and informed comment in support or in opposition of the proposed tax increase found in the budget today. Only 1 out of 7 replied. However, there's 7 publicly elected officials before me today. And I believe that each individual should give an account for his or her vote to a resident and be prepared to answer a resident's questions about the budget, so residents can offer informed and meaningful comments during public hearings about their money. When that doesn't occur, the legitimacy of these hearings is questionable. Perhaps the Mayor and Council can offer a trove of website inquiries concerning the proposed budget that they've responded to in a timely manner. However, if that's the case, I would ask that Mayor and Council make that case in writing, send me to my address, and explain why I've been an outlier in this case. Yes, we have a Citizens Budget Committee. However, neither this committee nor its members can be found on the River Edge website. Also, River Edge residents on the committee are not elected representatives and cannot speak for me. Finally, the existence of a Citizens Budget Committee ultimately does not affect my main point that I'm here to make today, which is Mayor and Council members have not taken residents' questions, so residents can offer informed and meaningful comments during these public proceedings tonight and therefore the validity of these public proceedings becomes questionable. If there was a Q&A session for the public to meet with mayor and council and to ask questions, then it's my position that those Q&A sessions, if they occurred, were not adequately announced or publicized. Any opportunity to meet with our elected officials regarding a tax increase should be announced and publicized with the same vigor as issues concerning snow removal and DPW issues, which have nothing to do with our liberties. Yes, mayor and council has made itself available tonight for questions and answers. However, like the council person noted in that email I previously read, quote, "The answers are intricate and have been debated and discussed by mayor and council and citizens budget committee for many months. Therefore, I believe it is unreasonable and not in good faith to provide the residents of River Edge with only a Q&A concerning these issues on the same night the mayor and council plans to take a vote on this budget and tax increase. For one, residents should be provided with more than one opportunity for this Q&A to occur because some residents perhaps they couldn't make it tonight due to scheduling conflicts. Also, residents should be given a chance to take the answers they receive from the mayor and council as elected officials and to discuss it with their neighbors and to generate follow-up questions, to present those follow-up questions to you, to provide suggestions and to explore alternatives with each of you, and to organize as neighbors, and then to come to a hearing like this and offer informed and meaningful comments in support or in opposition of this budget. In summary, if you pass this budget today, my taxes will increase. Then the path for residents at large to competently weigh in, either tonight or later during election time, that path hasn't been sufficiently developed. I ask for mayor and council to carefully weigh my feedback and to pursue improvements in this process for future budget votes, especially those pertaining to tax increases and other liberties. I also want to note that I received a message through this online group that I mentioned about 53 minutes before we were supposed to meet here at 7 regarding if this meeting was in fact to occur today. I noted that the mayor mentioned this meeting has been announced in a variety of different publications, I believe mostly newspapers. However, this person that reached out to me noted it's very difficult to find on the borough's website. And I've noted that on the borough's calendar in the past, it's always been noted when there's a mayor and council meeting, at least for the past 4 that I followed. But tonight's meeting doesn't appear. According to the borough's website, nothing's scheduled for tonight, April 3rd. So, although, as the mayor noted, it's been publicized in various periodicals, it hasn't been publicized where it typically has been in the past, which is a further limitation and obstruction to members being able to come here and offer competent and meaningful commentary regarding the budget you're scheduled to vote on tonight. I thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
Thank you.
Any members of the public on any other issue? There'll be more opportunity to address the council at different points in the meeting. Motion to close, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to open the hearing on the 2017 budget amendment first. Can a motion open hearing, please?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Councilman Sladen?
Yes.
Council Bartolome?
Yes.
Councilman Liston? Yes. Councilman Benito?
Yes.
Councilman Paparella?
Yes. Alan, do you want to just do a quick summary of the
Yes,
amendment?
thank you, Mayor. We received a reimbursement from the County of Bergen for snow removal and ice control services relative to the last storm that we had in mid-March for $2,860. We are amending the revenue side of the budget for that reimbursement and the spending side as well. In addition, we are shifting $22,733 in expenses related to the snow and ice control emergency that we had in mid-March. We are reducing the public works line, both salary and wages and other expenses, as well as the petroleum line, and increasing an emergency line. All of these changes will have no effect on the tax levy for the introduced budget, Mayor. But making these amendments is necessary to update our records on them.
any member of the public like to make a comment or have any questions regarding this budget? Seeing none, can I please have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Deferred,
Yes.
Councilman Barone,
Yes.
Councilman Luci, yes, Councilman Kamiga,
Yes.
Councilman Caparella.
Yes.
Next item for business, open hearing on 2017 municipal budget. Motion open, please.
Mayor, we believe we do need to pass the resolution to read the budget by title
Oh,
before we open it to the public.
Can I please have a motion to pass, to approve resolution 17-128, resolution to read the budget by title.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now for the motion to open the hearing on the budget, please.
Thank you.
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Deferred,
Yes.
Councilman Barone,
Yes.
Councilman Luci, yes, Councilman Kamiga.
Yes.
And Councilman Caparella.
Yes.
We're open to the public again. Anybody has any comment or question regarding our 2017 municipal budget? Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Deferred,
Yes.
Councilman Barone,
Yes.
Councilman Luci, yes, Councilman Kamiga.
Yes.
And Councilman Caparella.
Yes.
Can I have a motion, please, to approve resolution 17-129, approval of local budget review for our 2017 budget?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And lastly, can I have a motion adopting resolution 17-130, adopting our 2017 budget?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Deferred,
Yes.
Councilman Barone,
Yes.
Councilman Luci, yes, Councilman Kamiga.
Yes.
And Councilman Caparella.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Maddox, lead. I'm going to address some of his questions now. He didn't mention, I did respond to him also last night, and I told him that, similar to the other email he had mentioned, that I thought the topics and the detail required does not lend itself to a simple email response. And I don't think it's a good idea to try to parse some of these things to make them text or Facebook friendly. I think what Mr. Maddox has done with the Facebook page is great to get out general information. We know as a council, when we adopted our own social media policy, we thought social media was best used to disseminate information. It should not be used to try to elicit information from the borough that would regularly go through the regular open process. It should not be a way to short-circuit contacting the elected officials through the website, so we can actually have concerns documented properly. There's a process when we get emails, and at least when I get an email from a resident, if the clerk wasn't copied, I make sure she gets a copy. I make sure the liaison to the appropriate department gets copied, and generally I'll include the council president. That's it. Then it goes into their hands to bring it to the department head's attention. And individual liaison or myself certainly can follow up and see what the resolution is and bring that back. But there needs to be a process, so there is an actual trail, so we know that residents are getting the information they've asked for. Resolutions are being attempted. Sometimes the answer is we can't do what they want us to do, but at least then we have a process. So I took the same position with regard to the budget. And Mr. Maddox asked a lot of questions, but I'll start off by saying I don't think the council has been, for lack of a better term, deficient in allowing public access during the budget process. Maybe Mr. Maddox wasn't aware, but I can probably count at least 5 Saturdays where we've been here. We've had budget hearings prior to regular council meetings. He may not have been aware of it, but there have been opportunities. He's right that the Citizen Budget Committee may not speak for him specifically, but it is representative of the community. We do take that process very seriously, and I think the members of that committee would think that they provided a valuable and insightful service on behalf of their fellow residents. I was going to invite Mr. Maddox to apply next year if he wants to be invited and participate also, because he's right. It is very difficult for the public to know the intricacies of the budget process. And as much as I don't want to have to do it, but I do have a statement I'm going to read, so it at least goes over some of these budget issues for the record. And my point to Mr. Maddox was that by doing so at a public meeting, It gets recorded. It'll be, my comments as well his will be actually incorporated into the minutes. It can be disseminated to whoever wants to see them, and at least it'll be done completely and in context. So, bear with me, please. I think it's just valuable information, and hopefully it'll get some insight into the process, into why we make some of the decisions that we do. Tonight we approved the 7th municipal budget since I was elected to council in 2010. Once again, we worked very diligently to craft a budget that provides essential services, prioritizes routine and non-routine infrastructure improvements, prioritizes routine and non-routine equipment purchases, evaluates wants versus needs, providing quality of life services such as the library, recreation program, senior services, and unanimously including funding to be able to construct a community space, providing necessary funding for professional services with regard to ongoing issues regarding COA and the Riverdale funding dispute, and also to guide the borough to develop reasonable and economically beneficial redevelopment plans, all while following responsible financial and fiscal practices to ensure we continue to replenish our depleted cash reserves. And all of this is done with a great appreciation and great deference with regard to the impact of our decisions on the taxpayers of this borough. Obviously, the 7 of us are among. This year, the overall budget increased by $115,900. That's 0.7%. There was a decrease in anticipated revenues of about $10,500. The combination results in a tax levy increase of 0.9%, which equates to a $54 increase for the typical home assessed at $385,000. Noting that 73% of all homes in the borough are assessed at this level or lower. None of our budget allocations are taken lightly. They're based on actual history of costs incurred. They are scrutinized year to year, and they're based on entirely and all publicly available backup information. Budgeting is actually carefully and realistic estimating. I can assure everyone that myself and each member of council takes our financial stewardship of our collective tax dollars extremely seriously, and I know I personally invested many hours towards budget preparation and analysis, and have continued as mayor, although budget preparation is technically and statutorily vested in the council, to ensure that every line item is necessary, allocations reasonable, and documentable, and the borough gets the most value from each tax dollar spent. It may surprise some that salaries and wages do not represent a majority of the budget, but about 40%. While salary pressures are real, an annual concern as our workforce ages and increases in years in services and experience, the borough conducts fair and competitive negotiations with our unions, and increases have been between 1.5% to 2%. We are comprised predominantly of part-time employees, and Alan, I say if I'm wrong, please step in. We're predominantly part-time employees that are not eligible for health benefits. We have a limited longevity, and the borough, and credit to our current CFO administrator who advocated eliminating payment for accrued sick time and capping payments way before it was the norm. And I would hasten to say that Riverbridge probably is one of the lowest, if not the lowest, retirement liabilities in the county, right? I'll say that. Residents should know that there are reasonable recurrent capital expenditures, including infrastructure upkeep, repair, equipment for police, fire, and DPW. And though there may be some, I'm probably in agreement with most people who would rather have no increase at all. Some may say $50 is not significant, but I recognize that our increase is not in a vacuum. Even if the local schools and regional schools increases were $50 each, the county adds another $10 to a person of fixed income paying another $160 in taxes might be the tipping point on whether they can stay in their home or not. But just as this current budget cannot be viewed in a vacuum, the budget needs to be evaluated in historical context. Maybe most people have forgotten where this town was just a few short years ago. When Councilman Bartoloni and I were first elected in 2010, the borough's financial situation was, quote, dire straits, a phrase used incessantly in print and by former members of the council. Increases in spending, unanticipated decreases in state aid, signs of decreasing revenues, in my judgment, poor fiscal decisions, such as accepting a pension payment holiday, and over-reliance on use of cash reserves, also known as surplus, to balance the budget led to a severe crisis. This forced significant reductions in services, up to 3-week unpaid furloughs across the board, complete depletion of our cash reserves, not having sufficient cash flow to pay our bills, and the single largest year-over-year municipal tax increase in our history, 15%, which was $350 for the typical house at that time. We've made great strides in improving our financial footing, and we will continue to do so. Unseen is that we continue to balance continuing essential services, providing discretionary and desired services. We also refrain from using a significant portion of surplus as anticipated revenue. For the past 5 years, we've used $425,000. Prior to 2011, previous councils used at times more than $3 million of surplus per year, nearly 1/4 of the budget. Through policy, Councilman Bartoloni and I drafted with the Finance Committee and our CFO, we've come back from a cash surplus as low as $500,000 to a balance of $3.8 million at the end of 2016. Standard & Poor's has recognized our efforts by citing our fund balance policies and fiscal prudence when they increased our bond rating to AA+. And I know there are people listening who are thinking, why shouldn't we just use more surplus to reduce taxes? The answer is twofold. Our policy sets forth definite criteria for surplus levels before we can increase the amount used as anticipated revenue, and we need to build up and maintain a certain level of cash reserves to ensure that we do not encounter cash flow problems where we can't pay our bills on time or have to resort to short-term borrowing to pay our bills. Situations that have happened in the past due to our previously poor financial situation. If we were just to increase the amount of surplus anticipated to $1 million, a level which would not necessarily be considered excessive, the average resident would have seen a municipal tax decrease of $110. However, while this may be politically popular, it's not the prudent or fiscally responsible action. Spending year over year this year has below inflation and often less than 1%. If we're able to control spending side and in the absence of downturns in the economy and no shock costs from Trenton, like in terms of pension payment obligations, healthcare premiums, or sewage processing costs, utilities, we will get to what I've been calling a sustainable budget where it will be proper and responsible to use surplus funds to offset and marginally decrease municipal taxes. Hopefully, maybe next year is the year where we can deliver a real zero increase. But there are always unforeseen issues, unexpected pension increases, like I mentioned. Anyone who makes ironclad promises either doesn't understand or doesn't want to understand the realities of municipal budgeting. I'm proud of the work we've done over the last 6 years, especially if you recognize the condition which we started. The general public generally doesn't know all these details, and it's very difficult to distill this type of information, even when there may be interest. I know most people just react that there's just an increase by what they read in the newspaper. To this example, these are recent headlines from the Bergen Record. 37.4 million Bergenfield municipal budget up for approval. Norwood Council introduces budget with slight increase. Colchester Council introduces $15.9 million budget. Glen Rock introduces $19 million budget. Fort Lee introduces $77.5 million budget. Taxes to rise in proposed River Edge municipal budget. So just based on the headlines is a skewed understanding of what's going on. Just for the record, those other towns increased their budgets 1.2%, 1.4, 2.6, 3.2, and 3.9. We were 0.7, lower than all of them. For the record, the other towns taxed their tax levies 1.6, 1.3, 1.2, 2, and 3.9. I think we're about 1.5, so on the low end of that too. And I relay this not for comparison's sake. I don't know the specifics of these towns and what drove their financial budgets, but I encourage everyone to read the articles, and if you're inclined like I am, I actually read the budget summaries that are printed in the legal notices. I look at the anticipated surplus, look what they use, and see what the actual increase in their assessments are. The articles never paint a complete picture, and two sets of numbers, while seemingly similar, actually tell quite a different story when you look more than superficially. In the end, we control 25% of each homeowner's tax burden. This is not an excuse, but a point in fact, and demonstrates the relativity of municipal tax to overall property taxes. In 2016, the average assessed house of $385,000 paid a total property tax bill of around $13,000. Of this, $3,200 was municipal, $146 is the library minimum tax, $38.50 for open space. The balance of $9,400 is local school tax, regional school tax, county tax, and county open space. Even if we were to eliminate municipal government completely, there are fundamental operating costs each resident would be forced to pay, regardless if it was provided through the borough or if we had subscription services. Items such as sewage collection, processing, recycling, which is state mandated, garbage collection disposal, fire hydrant fees, which are set by BPU, and street lighting. This accounts for about 20% of the municipal budget bill. And adds up to about $45 a month of the $266 average amount people pay. This doesn't include snow plowing, street repairs, paving, or any other police services or anything else. Hypothetically, whether through shared services or municipal consolidation, it is unrealistic to expect that municipal costs would be zero. That's not to say there aren't some economies of scale, but unless the total number of personnel is reduced, and no matter how well organized, reduction in employees will result in decreased level of service. Some minor, some marginal, some that will be seen, others will be unseen. For example, something in decreased sewer jetting, catch basin cleaning, which something people wouldn't notice until there was actual problem. Even assuming we can reduce the municipal tax burden 50 or 60%, the average house would see a reduction of $1,600 to $1,900 a year. But I know from personal and professional experience that towns that have prescription services just for garbage can be $50 a month itself. That's not the answer. Municipal budgets are not the same as a private company. They're a mix of basic services, essential services, and discretionary services that define the quality of life and identity of a town. Using River as an example, sorry, I'm getting redundant here. The paradox remains that there are calls to lower property taxes, but no decrease in services. Dollar for dollar, I maintain we get the most value for our dollar, and the most efficient delivery of services is at the local level. Just look at the county, the state, or the federal government. The progress we made just didn't happen. It isn't because the economy has improved. It wasn't magic. We need to look back to see how far we've come and not fall into the same patterns. We can go forward with the knowledge that we've done the hard work to get the fundamentals of our budget in its strongest position, arguably in decades. Mr. Mannix asked if there was a path to avoid the tax increase and whether there was obstruction to that path or whether there was no path to begin with. To me, comments like this reveal the governing body needs to perhaps be better to be able to better explain the complexities and realities of the municipal budget and processes, but also to demonstrate that most residents probably do not have a frame of reference to know what all these numbers really mean. There are truly fixed and uncontrollable costs such as utilities, landfill tipping fees, pension payments, insurance, contractual obligations, debt service that will be part of any budget. Like any deliberative body, there will be differences of opinions when setting priorities and what projects, programs, and positions are necessary and to be funded and at what levels. This is usually a more common when setting the capital budget, and there are times when a simple majority can include a spending item. While an individual councilperson can withhold a vote from introducing and adopting the budget, most often the mayor and council as a whole, at least during my tenure, eventually come to a final consensus. And perhaps surprising to some, this is not always along party lines. I recognize that making difficult decisions does have political consequences. When Al Bartoloni and I were elected, we were the first Republican majority, with a sitting Republican mayor for the first time in a decade. We felt we had an obligation to make the difficult choices to get our finances back on the right path. Decisions like paying the pension deferment, cutting costs, implementing furloughs, and even a layoff. The political result was that each subsequent election, we lost seats. Despite policy issues I had with the previous mayor, it was he and my Democratic colleagues who appointed me as finance chair, and we worked together to get our budget on a firm and sustainable path forward. There's one other aspect that could take another hour to write about, but to quote, we need more ratables. No one discounts or argues the premise, however, but it's not a panacea that politicians claim. Again, for an example, the total tax base of the borough is $1,456,898,719. Assessing taxes is straightforward. Each property pays proportionally to its percent of the total. Assuming that the budget stayed flat from one year to the next, the tax base would have to increase by 10% to get a 10% reduction in the following year. This would be the equivalent of adding $145 million in new assessed construction. Again, for comparison purposes, the new bridge landing complex in its entirety is assessed around $14 million, 1/10 of that. Notwithstanding that at its peak, the property was assessed in excess of $10 or $11 million. Again, this is part of the solution, not the solution. So the unanswered question is, what is the answer to controlling property taxes? Without changes on the state or federal level, we need to keep doing what we've been doing. Keep expenses down, be cognizant of budgetary pressures from increasing salaries and debt service, pursue shared services where reasonable and actually cost beneficial, encourage upgrade to our housing stock, and thoughtful and responsible new development. You need to make sure that the 7 people who sit up here understand how this budget is comprised and how it works, and elected officials that can make difficult decisions even when politically unpopular. As mayor, I need to work with whoever the voters elect to this council. I didn't run for mayor to sit here and argue with the council for 4 years. I have worked to move many issues forward by finding common ground and leading by example. By understanding the issues, being prepared, and know my number one obligation to the people of this borough is to bring open, honest, and effective government. If good governance does not translate to good politics, at least I know I always did what I thought was the best for all of us. I didn't intend, and I don't think I'm able to cover everything, but I hope this is a useful overview and at least a basic primer into the municipal budget. If anyone wants to discuss any of these matters further, don't hesitate to ask. I'm glad to talk about it any time. Anyone listening who's interested in being on our Citizens Budget Committee, we'd be glad to have you. We'll be planning again for 2018 at the end of the year. Sorry for taking so much time, but I thought it was important to get a lot of this information out, and I hope it does provide some clear understanding of what this all means. And it's understandable that people don't know all the intricacies of it, but the council deserves their due credit for the time and effort that is put into the budget process. And maybe it is our collective effort to try to get more people to understand it, and then maybe they would have a better appreciation and understanding of how we and why we make the decisions we do. So with that, I will move on with the rest of the agenda. Thank you again for bearing with me.
Mayor, I just want to say well said.
Thank you. We have ordinances on for first reading this evening. Ordinance 1711, Madam Clerk, please read by title.
An ordinance appropriating $56,300 from the general capital fund, capital improvement fund for the purchase of equipment.
This is to use $56,300 from our capital improvement fund to purchase equipment for public works, fire department, borough clerk, borough health department, and construction department. Can I please have a motion to adopt on first reading?
So moved. Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Freda?
Yes.
Councilman Ballmer?
Yes.
Councilman Steve? Yes. Councilman Domingo?
Yes.
And Councilman Fleury.
Yes. Ordinance 1712, Madam Clerk, please read by title.
Bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery, new information technology equipment, new communication and signal system equipment, and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in, by, and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $1,243,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make the down payment to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriations, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
And this is for funding of various public improvements for the community center, purchase additional civic decorations, replacement equipment and machinery for the fire department, vehicle for DPW, IT equipment, and signal system equipment for the police, stormwater drainage, sanitary sewer improvements, and an updated computer system for the finance department, and for our 2017 road services program. Have a motion to adopt this on first reading, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion?
I would just ask that for the record, it be clear that this is a community center, not a senior center, or the plan.
I just said community
Okay,
center. Yes, I did say it, yes.
Make sure that,
Yes.
that's it.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Freda?
Yes.
Councilman Ballmer?
Yes.
Councilman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Domingo?
Yes.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes. It's adopted on first reading. Right, ordinance 17-13, Madam Clerk, please read by title.
An ordinance to Borough of River Edge, amending chapter 330 of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of River Edge, and adopting a new chapter to be entitled Abandoned Properties, providing for the registration requirements, registration fees, inspection maintenance, and creditor responsibilities of abandoned properties.
This is an ordinance that is going to allow the borough to impose a fee to lenders and lien holders for unnecessary costs incurred by the borough with regard to abandoned structures and properties, and give the borough a little more leverage in addressing deficient conditions on them. Can I please have a motion to adopt this on first reading?
So moved.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Freda?
Yes.
Councilman Ballmer?
Yes.
Councilman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Domingo?
Yes.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes. It's adopted on first reading also. Ordinance 17-14, Madam Clerk, read by title, please.
An ordinance to Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 222, Games of Chance, to add Section 222-4 entitled Issuing Authority.
This is an administrative change to allow the Borough Clerk to be the issuing authority for raffle licenses. Please have a motion to adopt this on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Acevedo?
Yes.
Councilman Ballmer?
Yes.
Councilman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Pinto?
Yes.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes. Ordinance 1715, Madam Clerk, please read by title.
An ordinance of Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 49 of the Borough Code entitled Land Use Procedures to dissolve the Borough Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustment and to establish a municipal land use
I
board.
don't know if that's technically,
We're not
we're not dissolving the planning board.
that's right.
This is,
Creating a municipal land.
what we're doing is under the statute provided under the municipal land use law, municipalities under 15,000 residents are allowed by ordinance to transfer the powers of the zoning board to the planning board, and that is what this ordinance will accomplish. At the last meeting, we mentioned that there will be modest savings in terms of cost, but it overall would result in a better ability for the borough to long-term plan and to address planning and zoning issues concurrently.
We're just going to amend the title for the second reading, that's all, just to reflect the body of the actual ordinance.
Because essentially the powers get transferred to the zoning.
That's correct.
One board to the other. It doesn't dissolve.
That's section 2 of the,
Can I have a motion on adoption of ordinance 1715?
So moved. Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Acevedo?
Yes.
Councilman Ballmer?
Yes.
Councilman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Pinto?
Yes.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
And all of these ordinances will be listed for public hearings at a future meeting. We have one ordinance on for second reading this evening, ordinance 1710. Please read by title, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance appropriating $20,000 from the general capital fund balance for the purchase of equipment improvement of borough buildings and grounds.
And this is taking $20,000 from our general capital fund for purchasing equipment for the fire department, sidewalk pilot program, and some repairs we need to do down at the police pistol range. Can I please have a motion to open public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does any member of the public have any question or comment regarding ordinance 1710? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
And is there a motion to adopt ordinance 1710?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Acevedo?
Yes.
Councilman Ballmer?
Yes.
Councilman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Pinto?
Yes.
And Councilman Papaleo?
Yes.
We have resolutions by consent, resolution 17-131 up to 17-153. Does any member of council want to have any of these pulled for separate consideration or separate vote? Now, can I have a motion to adopt resolutions by consent?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Would our finance chair please read and move ordinance resolution 17-154, payment of bills?
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas vouchers for the payment of goods and services rendered to the Borough of River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee, now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $1,670,946.64. Capital account, $2,090.82. Recreation account, $3,342.10. Trust other account, $4,243.86. Open space account, $95. Trust other developers account, $12,674.53. So moved.
For a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have one more opportunity to open the public. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll open one more time. Anybody? Going once, going twice. Motion to close, please.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Council comments. Councilman Kinigo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I recently attended the monthly board meeting of the Historic Commission. The Historic Commission is currently working on the oral history of River Edge. Most recently, they interviewed Barbara Christensen, 97-year-old resident of River Edge and wife of former mayor of River Edge. Ms. Christensen was a Marine in World War II. Her likeness was used by the United States on propaganda posters during the war, and she has some fascinating stories to tell. So I encourage anybody who's interested to go ahead and check that out. The Historic Commission has asked me to ask the Mayor and Council what the status of the master plan is. Apparently, there are some irregularities, and they would just like to know what's going on there. There are currently 2 homes in River Edge that are on the federal and state historic registry, but not on River Edge's municipal registry, which is the only registry which can affect the homeowner's ability to demolish the outside of his or her home. The Commission is currently evaluating the matter and taking appropriate steps to determine whether the homes should be placed on the registry. As we all know, the borough historian recently passed away. The Commission has proposed that Mr. Eric Model be appointed to take over as town historian. His name was put forth, and the Commission has heard nothing. They're just wondering.
Because I'm making a separate appointment. They were told this.
Okay. Perhaps you told them after the meeting, which was a couple of
No,
weeks
they were
ago.
told this when they proffered somebody the first time, and I said there was somebody else under consideration.
They've just asked me to get them a status, and I'm just
They
reporting.
do not appoint the borough historian, the borough council, and myself do. So.
Right. Lastly, although it's still early, the Historic Commission would like to note that we are coming up on the 100th year anniversary of Roosevelt School. They are beginning discussions on how to commemorate this momentous event, and more will be discussed in the coming weeks and months. As far as the library is concerned, as many of you know, a mural is being worked on at the library that will bring to life in pictures and words the story of River Edge, our geography, history, and the generations of people who settled along the banks of the Hackensack River to life. The last pictorial tile, which is for the Friends of the Library, is currently being worked on. The mural will be mounted later this year, and at the time the library will take orders for non-pictorial tiles. There are some brochures that Mr. O'Connor left here for anybody who's interested. The library is also very pleased to report that they've been very busy. Circulation has been up in January 2017, about 3,000 over the same period in 2016. The Friends of the Library are working on high tea events. There are currently 2 dates planned with 2 seatings per day, which is, as of now, subject to change based on participation. There's going to be 1 high tea on Saturday, May 20th, and 1 on Saturday, June 10th. The cost will be $25 per person, and the proceeds will go to help the Friends to support programs and make purchases that benefit River Edge. Lastly, on a personal note, I know Mr. Maddox talked about emailing the council. I'm not sure if he was including me in that. I know that I've not received any emails whatsoever from Mr. Maddox. I do have the River Edge email coming into my phone. I check it every day. It's on my computer in the background. So I don't know if it's an issue with the system or it's an issue with his. But the first I ever heard of Mr. Maddox was over this Facebook feed. He called everybody out on the council and the mayor on this feed, and I responded. I provided my private email, which everybody is welcome to use. It's GaryO'Keenigo@gmail.com, and if you need to reach me, you can email me there, as well as the River Edge email, and I try to get back to everybody immediately. I'm not going to comment on some of the things he stated in his statement. There was a lot of accuracies. I feel there were a few inaccuracies. I did respond. I know Councilman Bartoloni responded. Mr. Mayor Mignon, you said you responded. So whereas he was yelling and screaming that there's 1 person who responded, in fact there were at least 3, and I don't know who else did. But in any event, I understand where he's coming from. I don't in any way think that he doesn't have a right to his questions, and I'm glad that he appeared and asked his questions in person. I wish he had stayed so that we could have discussed it a little more, and he could have heard your statement responding to much of what he has said. But unfortunately, he left for whatever reason. But thank you for the time.
Thank you, Councilman Fredo.
2 items. The first one, I would like to know if the next work session could be rescheduled to a Monday, the 17th.
And funny like that, I have my own conflict. I asked Stephanie today whether that was possible also. So I asked her to move it. No, I asked her to move it if she could.
Oh, you are? Okay, thank you. It will give me the opportunity to introduce a couple of items. The second item kind of affects everyone, and that is the fairness in taxation formula. This issue that has been going on for 10 years now between Oradell and River Edge. On Thursday, the case will be heard by the New Jersey Appellate Court in Newark. Our attorney has sent us briefs and emails explaining the ins and outs. I will not be able to attend, but certainly, although from a personal level, I believe this case will end up in the Supreme Court one way or the other. It will be another chapter to the ongoing saga of deciding the fairness and funding formula for our regional district. So stay tuned, guys. Today we approved the architectural and engineering contract that includes the full services to finally put on the board the community center. Unlike the previous architect that was strictly relegated to do a schematic initial design, what we approved today is for all the phases of the project. And we approved it also with arguably a more established firm who has experience in community centers and project types of that sort. So this is something that now will start developing on the right track. And we will certainly make sure that the council stays informed on what will be happening with this project, from its design inception through all the phases, leading to bidding and then eventually constructing this building that will enrich everyone's, well, I shouldn't say everyone's, but will enrich most of the people's lives in River Edge. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Papaleo.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have met with the Beautification Committee on March 9th and the Shade Tree Commission on the 16th. I've mentioned briefly some of the good work that they've been doing. They continue to work towards finding the most cost-effective means of removing our stumps. Beautification is gearing up for the spring. Shade Tree continues to catalog and assess our trees throughout the borough, and they will be moving forward with the treatment for the emerald ash borer infestation that has already hit Bergen County. So they're doing a great job with that. We did have a resident who came and spoke to the Shade Tree Commission, and the resident felt that he was heard and it was a good resolution. I also want to commend again the DPW for all the great things they do, but on March 7th at the annual Bergen Municipal GIF Safety Breakfast, River Edge was awarded the Bronze Safety Award for 2016. Not an easy task, and a definite sign of the good things that our DPW does, not just for the borough, but in its practices and its procedures. I think Mr. Maddox was right to come and speak. I was glad he did, but there were some inaccuracies. In fact, he could have been he could have been present for any of the numerous meetings we had in January, in February, in March. He could have spoken or asked questions at all those meetings. This council is kind of out of its way to release information about that, in so much as we move to put the budget committee meetings on YouTube and release that. We have made, I think, more than a good faith effort to reach out. But to demand a response either on Facebook or to demand a response in email for something as complicated as this is a bit disingenuous in claiming that we were not responsive, especially because he only showed up at the very last meeting, and could have shown up at many meetings prior to this. And for the $54 increase, that's essentially $2.50 a month. I don't think, considering how fiscally responsible and how much service we offer, that this is, it would be better if we had 0 cents increase per month for the average home, but I don't think $2.50, which is less than a drink at Starbucks per month, is somehow irresponsible on our part. I commend the mayor, I commend the council, I commend the budget committee, I commend especially our CFO, Alan Nagrian. I think we've done a great job, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councilman Barlow. Thank you, Mayor. When you get towards this side, it's like everybody kind of settled out of what you wanted to say already.
Well, I try to alternate week to week, so.
But everybody's kind of touched on everything, and Councilman Alcofreda touched on it as well. Just where I wanted to start it with Resolution 17139 and 145. I'm excited about these, getting the architectural firm, getting the topographical studies done. It's been a long time coming, and it really feels like for the first time we've really taken that major step. So I'm excited about it. And it's something that I would definitely want to see done sooner than later. I know I have about 20 months left up here, so
So do I.
yeah, so do you. So I'm excited to see that moving forward during that time. In terms of just the budget, I mean, everybody's talked at length, but I think in terms of all the borough and the boards of education, we do the best out of the three, I think, honestly, of putting forth our budgetary information. We put our meetings online for anyone to see. They're open. You can come here on a Saturday. I know it's early, but we do provide bagels and coffee for whoever wants to come. And you can participate. And, you know, if all you saw was the 2 council meetings where we adopt the budget, yes, you would get a very inaccurate view of the budgetary process, because you're not looking at everything that came before it. And like I said, that information is on the website. It's there for you to see. Democracy is not always easy. It requires an involvement from the citizenship to educate themselves, and I think we do provide those tools for the citizens to educate themselves. In terms of Facebook and social media, it's not the venue to have intricate discussions, and that's what I explained on social media. And I said, if anybody wants to email me and talk about it, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to sit down with anybody who has a question about the budget. I think anyone here is. But it's not conducive to sound bites. You know, you can't put the budget in 140 characters. It just doesn't work. So if people have questions, they need to come here. They need to ask questions. They need to email. Now, in terms of what Councilman Canigo said, I mean, I looked, and I didn't get any emails from anyone either regarding the budget. There's nothing there. There may be a problem with the email system, because there's sometimes I know that I'm not getting emails from the borough clerk as well, or the mayor who sent me stuff on that, and I haven't gotten it. So there may be an issue there, something that we need to look at. But in terms of not responding to them through the email account here, it's just nothing there. So, but I think we all worked very hard and very diligent on this budget. It is a solid budget. I think it's a very lean budget. I think it's probably as lean as we could get, while setting forth an agenda for the future, which is important in terms of the community center and our policing and our DPW, and making sure that the borough has the resources it needs to function and serve the needs of the community. And when you do view it alongside our neighbors, I think we do pretty darn good. So I'm proud of the work we do here, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman. Steve.
Thank you. I could say ditto, but there's really no fun, so. I'll start with the budget. Thank you for Mr. Maddox for coming, and we now have a face with the name of the social media activity that's been going on. I think that this council does an excellent job of setting a reasonable budget after tremendous deliberation and collaboration, and I think we should commend ourselves for being a collaborative body. We may all not agree in the beginning, as the mayor says, but we come to consensus to provide the best services at a reasonable cost for our taxpayers. And the other thing I think we should talk about is stability. I think that we have really provided our residents with a stable expectation of what the budget is going to be over the last couple of years. The Citizens Budget Committee provides a valuable service to us, and I wish more people would engage in that way. And I hope Mr. Maddox will do so. And again, to Alan, our CFO, and Gita, and the whole finance department for really providing such great leadership year after year. So thank you very much. I just want to remind everyone that today we awarded a contract to lease AEDs, which has been a long time coming, and I'm very proud of the work of the Commission, the Recreation Commission, and of this council to make that happen. On April 5th, there are 2 training sessions with cardiac science. I talked to Bobby Conway today. There are 43 people signed up for each of the sessions, and they can hold up to 68 people, I believe. So for the public, if you haven't signed up, please do so if you're a coach, if you're a volunteer coach, or you can take the training online. April 17th, the council and the mayor are going to be invited for the lighting of the KVG lights. It's the first official game that will occur in the evening down there, and you'll be receiving an invitation around 8 o'clock. They're doing a walkthrough this week, I believe, to kind of work out any kinks. There's a punch list, but you'll get an invitation from the commission, but mark your calendars for April 17th. The River Edge Run is April 22nd, so sign up.
It'll be after the meeting.
What?
It'll be after the meeting.
Right, 8 o'clock, so we have to be done and get down.
We'll make sure that
We're all going to look. April 22nd, River Edge Run, please sign up. I think that is all I have to say. Thank you. I'm done.
Mr. Mayor, one more thing, just because it was brought up, if I may. Since we're on the record and there's videotape going, I just don't want anybody to get the wrong idea that I'm unable to vote or I didn't vote in good faith on the budget. Okay, I came in late and I was sworn in on January 17th, and since then I've worked very hard. I didn't want to give Mr. Maddox a short answer on email. I don't think his questions really could be answered in a short email or even just a long email. I think it's a very involved process in the questions that he had. But I feel very confident as to my vote and as to all the work I put in to understand the budget and feel comfortable with it. So I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Understood. Again, thank you, Mr. Maddox, for coming. I'm glad he actually came. That was fine. And like you said, I think everybody's pretty much articulated that there are appropriate venues for different kinds of discussion. I said I commend him for trying to, and so far I believe, from what I've heard, it's a positive, it's been mostly a positive experience on the Facebook page with people getting sources of information, and he does put links to the council meetings, and like everything else, it's always best to go to the original source instead of trying to rely on people trying to distill information or to speak without having the proper backup. He is correct, and we've all mentioned and alluded to it. We know there are issues with our web page. We know there's issues with our email server. These are being addressed, not as quickly as I'd like. I'm hopeful that within the next few months that will all be addressed. I think, part of that's going to be, and hopefully we did put money in the budget under the clerk's line to get some additional part-time help, and I'm hopeful that one of those tasks will be to engage someone who will actually be able to update the website in a more timely manner. It is probably the most direct place for people information. It should be up to date as much as possible. But again, I appreciate that sometimes the information not be there, but the clerk's number's there, there's numbers to call, the information is always to be found. And as far as the council meeting goes, Alan, has there ever been a time when we haven't had a council meeting the first Monday of the month? In decades?
This is a holiday.
Yes, no, but it's a practice. So, I mean, we've had a long-standing schedule to go back decades. Again, that's not an explanation, an excuse, but it's something that most people are familiar with. And the other aspect is, I keep looking at our blank wall over here, waiting for our TV camera to get started. And I think hopefully by the next budget season, we'll have the budget meeting on TV also, so people can watch them and they can judge themselves. And the fact of the matter is, they're boring, no doubt about it. People don't want to go through all the minutia. And they, maybe that we'll look into when we update the website. It's true, if you look at the budget as it's presented based on the state documents, it's not very detailed. It doesn't give you a lot of facts. And I think that does lead to the impression that there may be less to it than it is. If they had seen all the stuff that's in the black books and all the worksheets that go into every line item, then I think they would understand that better. Not that I think everything needs to be posted, but maybe we should at least have that note somewhere, so if people want to come and look at it, they're certainly free to come and look at all the backup. Like I said, all the information that budget is based on is publicly available, it's well documented. Alan, Gita, and Judy and Stephanie put together very detailed manual books for us, and it's not for a lack of information how we make our decisions. I'll just echo Councilman Bartoloni and Councilman Freitas' comments on the community center. I look forward to getting together with the new team and moving that forward. Again, echoing Councilman Bastido on the AEDs, long time coming, glad they're finally here. Again, it's one of those things we hope we don't ever have to use, but at least now we get the peace of mind knowing that if it does happen, we do have the ability to respond. Regarding the Historic Commission, there's two other items I've mentioned to them that I think planning should begin. 2018 is our 125th anniversary as a borough. It's our 325th anniversary as the founding based on our 1693. So that, in cooperation with the Historic Newbridge Landing Commission on the county level, who hope to be breaking ground on their museum, I think that between our commission and this county, we should be looking at really promoting that site going into next year. Through the idea that maybe for 2018, 4th of July, we should have some celebrations down there to bring some attention to the site. The Riverdale funding, I can't go to the hearing either. It'll be very interesting. I hope that the Supreme Court doesn't decide to do like the administrator who decided he's going to split it and try to give us this half-baked part, part evaluation, part per pupil. I know the statute allows for something like that, but they didn't quite quote everything I told them in the record. But again, if you're going to have a regional school district, you have to consider it as if it's a borderless town. That's the only way to make it work. And the only way to fairly tax that is through valuation, because school systems bring property values to every resident or every residence in both towns. You can't say that just because a child is in school in Oroville that property value is not positively affected by the fact that we have a very well-renowned school district. And I maybe it's apples to oranges. I don't think so. But I never hear the residents of Oroville making the argument that the people who don't have school children in the Oroville schools should not pay Oroville school taxes. So if you're not going to pay per pupil for your own district, you have to not consider it for us, because we are considered one town for purposes of school district. Superintendent Fletcher said, we don't look at the kids as Oroville kids or River Edge kids. They're Riverdale students, one town, and it has to be valued accordingly. And hopefully it will be that, because then I don't know what our budgets are going to be like going forward if that happens. Anyway, said enough on the budget tonight. Anyway, I guess that's all I have, unless anybody else has anything else. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.